Welcome to another Sunday night with Kazaki Flyer 55. Here we are. Welcome to Manston, an airfield that's no longer there on the eastern coast of Great Britain. Tonight we're going to be helping after delivering paratroops all morning and all afternoon. We made 2 trips. Tonight we're going to be a decoy. We're going to make a run down to the south across to France and down the coast of France and then back across to England, and hopefully we're going to pull away a few fighters and put the flak troops on alert and keep them awake all evening. You can see the weather's pretty lousy here. We may opt to change it to more cinematic later, but first we need to jump in here and see if we can start the airplane up. Let's get into the cockpit here. We've got our portholes open. There we go. Turn the battery on. Come on, battery. It's clicking like it's coming on. Don't tell me they broke it. Oh, there it is. Magnetos are on. See what else we need to do. At least in this aircraft, I think we've got everything turned on that needs to be turned on. Prop to full. Mix to full. Let's jump down here. Okay, a little bit more down. There it is. Okay, left engine started. And of course it's behind that. Let's see if we can get down here. There we go. Now we can see it. Clear to the right. This is not the most complex model in the sim at the moment, but it's kind of fun. Where we can see over the nose a little bit. Right about there. Should do. Now, let's see where we're pointed at here. There's looking to the left, look to the right, look at our map, let's see where the taxiways are. We should know this by now. Oh, we're way over here. So we need to take taxiway, pull forward, take taxiway Alpha to intersection Charlie. And the winds here are wind prefers runway 10. So we've got a ways to taxi, I guess. We can't just pull out and get on there. We'll have to take taxiway Echo, I think, after we come off of Alpha, and go all the way down to the end of runway 10. We don't need it all, but we'll do that. Let's see, let's close our wind screens here. Release the brakes. Starting to move. So you come forward to taxiway Alpha, which is the yellow line straight ahead of us. Okay, here we are on taxiway Alpha. And we've got a long way to taxi today. Add a little bit more power here. Okay, now we're going to turn on to taxiway Echo here. Yeah, we're confused as to where we're going here. There's taxiway Echo. Do map check and tell us where we're going. Yep, we're going the right way. That's a relief. And of course, well, our first little nuisance run tonight was we're going to cross the channel and go visit Dunkirk. Turn our lights on. Oh, there is a jug here. Colonel Fork is with us. Welcome aboard, Colonel Fork. Colonel Fork won't have any trouble keeping ahead of us. Oh, it's so nice to actually hear my engines for a change. We're going to go all the way down here. I do love the radio masts over there here at Manston. There they are. Hit our brakes as we come around the corner. Okay, the first heading after we clear the field and get some altitude is 105 degrees. There we are on our center line. You can see the beacon off in the distance. Colonel Fork coming up to taxiing into position. Jump in the cockpit here. Okay, I think we're about as ready as we'll ever get. Let's add some power. Oh, but the Hampton's such a nice, it's not the greatest model in the world as far as the cockpit functionality, but it's so pretty to look at. The briefcase bomber. Power coming in. And let's go. Tails up. Planes up. Pull our power back a bit. RPMs come back just a little bit. We want 2400 RPM. And let's get our gear up after we trim up a little bit. Gear coming up. The Hampton is not the fastest to raise its gear. Ooh, the weather looks nasty. Colonel Fork's on his takeoff roll. Okay, the Hampton's main trick while it was in service was to stay low. Great, which is great if you want to do some VFR flying. Keep trimming down until she'll settle out. A bit too much there. Oh, here comes the rain. Boy, I don't want to fly into the water today, so we're going to change the weather. I don't want to be in the rain all the way across the channel. So I'm coming off of live weather and going to go to cinematic from Parallel 42's SimFX. Keep trimming. We'll get it right sooner or later here. And already gotten up to 2,000 feet. We'll let her sink on down on her own. But lots of channel water to look at as we cross the channel. Colonel Fork is airborne. Yeah. Well, Colonel Fork, if you want the Hampton, I'd wait for it to go on sale, because especially as soon as 2024 comes out, all these old legacy aircraft, they're either, at least, well, to some of us, they're going to be what we fly. But if you're looking to add on and you want to use the new physics, it'll take a long time before an aircraft like the Hampton gets its update. And I do not want to go to 3,000. And you're still getting, our speed is still coming up. If we can just keep her trimmed out to stay flat. It's 3,000 is plenty. Yes, I can use the 750's autopilot and probably do okay with this aircraft, but tonight we're going to hand fly it across. See if we can actually find our targets. We've got a paper map. And I will admit, after the way Murph showed off the new sim yesterday and has been doing with his videos all week, it does look good. It didn't answer any of my questions about how the multiplayer is going to work and how the installation is going to go. I'm more worried about the installation than the functionality. Functionality, I think my computer can do it. If 2020 will run, and they promised it'll run 2024, then I'm okay there. My problem is going to be installing the new one. On Wednesday. Well, we'll probably have to tune into the dev stream for a change, and we'll probably just pass on the Murph news and pay attention to what the devs have to say. Maybe they're finally going to start answering the questions. Because I've got a really good internet connection. I knows I'm paying enough a month for it. On 4,500 feet. Come on. Down you go. Fly over the tankers. Jerry, you'd like to catch those out alone. Oops. Stutter, stagger. And I do hope they fix this with 2024. There's back. And we've creeped up to 182 knots. Yes, I know. I saw that, Colonel Fork. I don't know how my payday is going to work out in the next couple of weeks, but I'll have to wait until that hits the bank before I can purchase the 707. But when I can, buddy, you betcha I'm going to get the 707. I have been waiting for the 707 so long. Almost as long as that Lancaster or B-17. There goes Colonel Fork. This thing really does not like to trim down. We're at -2 boost, so that's pretty good. We're not pushing our engines hard at all. For a little bitty briefcase bomber, this is actually a pretty quick little bird. I'd rather have a Blenheim, especially a Mark IV. I love the nose on a Mark IV Blenheim. The coast of France. Somebody's ferry boat. A car ferry. Like Murph takes from Dublin to France. I'm hoping one of the first liveries that come out for the 707 is the good old Pan Am. The skies are just empty without a Pan Am in the air, especially an international flight. I want Pan Am and Trans Global Airlines. If you know, you know. How far have we drifted? Not too bad. Dunkirk is off to our right over here. And even though we're carrying tonight's mission is carrying windows. Uh-oh. How can you overstress a bomber? Good grief. Let's go back to the main menu so we can just try to start where we were. I still don't understand that. You get fighters and aircraft like this that are, well, they're supposed to be tougher than this. Oh, you're a mile an hour over the speed limit. Guess what? You're gonna break apart in the air, and it's not even the red line. Okay, Colonel Fork, I'm going to use you to spawn on. And there's that. And we're going there. Getting out from behind the darn signs. Come on. Let's go. And fingers crossed. Yeah, this is always my favorite part. Okay, click that. Click that. Emergency, click that. Where did it put us? We're either in England or France. Good gosh. It put us all the way at the end of the flight plan. That's not cool. No. Let's try this again. That's my departure point. I'm going there's my first waypoint. And that's not how it works. There. Yes, that's our arrival. I want that airport. Add. That airport. Add. And that little bitty airport. Add. Flight conditions. Let's try that. Let's see how well this works. I'd better just see water out there. Oh boy. Think, 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 think. All right. There we look like we're over the water. 1,500 feet in my butt. 6,000 feet's more like it. Pulling our throttles back as we start our way down. What's your glide ratio like? Pretty nasty. Come on. Down. Okay. Lights on again. That's the only thing I hate about spawning in midair. Half your stuff is off. Hey, that didn't spawn me at 1,500 feet. It spawned me at 15,000 feet. There's no air up here. We've got to come down a long way. Yes, we're going IFR through a cloud. Passing through 10,000 on our way down. Okay, there's Dunkirk. Time to cheat. What did you do? I broke out the iPad. Uh-huh. Okay, stop climbing and descend. And now we're in a wild circle. We're not in a spin. Did it put me back at lid again? I hope not. Let's close that out. No, this is Dunkirk, all right. Restart the map, because that got killed too. Whee! If it can go wrong, I'll do it. Yeah, where did it put the plane? Oh, great. We're not even showing the plane. That's not cool. Yeah, turn to port here. Turn to starboard. And keep descending. Because I've got to yet restart this again. No, wrong buttons. Ah, the simplest of jobs, and we'll mess it up. Nope, and it still hasn't joined the sim. Okay. Did the flight plan load? Oh, yes, that loaded. Now we're turning to approximately 240. As we leave EBFN with a load of windows drifting down over the top of to block the radar. It always amuses me that the chaff used to block radar during World War II was called windows. Hey, 4,800 feet and coming down. You just follow the coast down, and every now and then have the gunner and the navigator open a bundle and throw it out the bomb bay. Well, I hear Colonel Forks P-47, and there he goes. That's the one thing I haven't figured out yet. They're going to give us, in 2024, they're going to give us wake turbulence, but there's no consequences to your wake turbulence. You bounce around a little bit, but it's not gonna flip your plane and dump you into the ground. And they're so politically correct they can't trust people to take their turn and wait and queue up properly at airports. But everybody wants to make the mad dash for cash that they've got to keep collision off because they're afraid somebody might want to cause grief. Well, it's simple enough. Give us the ability to block or ban people from our servers, and poof, no more griefers. Bringing our power back in. Yeah, 2,400. And 2,400 RPMs. Adjust our heading again. Yes, that's right. We're just inside the searchlight belt and dropping our chaff where it'll do the most good. What time is it? Sim time. God knows after all these changes. And it's showing 3:46 in the afternoon. We'll just leave it alone. Get off my pedals for a second here. Okay, 130. We can start bringing our manifold pressure back in. Give us -2 boost. Well, -3 boost. We're spoiled by the modern, everybody has the same measurements and units of measure in common. It's not kilograms in over in Germany, and inches of boost in England, and manifold pressure in the United States. Let's see if this works. Nothing else has. Oh, that didn't load. Okay. Now, this is the briefcase bomber. This was an early war design, or I should say, a design from before September 1939 that got pushed into service when everything went to the wrong end of the pot and ended up doing service for the first year and a half of the conflict until it finally became so obsolete they couldn't do. All it was relegated for use was as a torpedo plane for the Royal Navy and the Royal Naval Flying Corps Coastal Command. It's much like the Droiner Droiner DO-17 with a very narrow tail fuselage and everybody packed up front. And there's Colonel Fork. Now, personally, I'd much rather have a JU-88 than this little thing. Although this is unique. In all my years of flight simming, this is the first Handley page that I've had like this. I've had a Halifax before, but I've never had the Hampton. It is kind of cute in its way. And because the way the engines are forward, you can just look to the right, there's your right engine, and look to your left, there's your left engine. It's sitting right beside you. In fact, it just barely clears your nose. Okay, we've got our second turn coming up here. And according to the map, we'll turn 264 degrees magnetic. Go ahead and start that turn now. And drop a couple more bales of windows out to Bombay. Scatter that well and good. Oh, it handles on the ground like a dream. It doesn't like to be overstressed. In straight level flight, she'll do about 200 to 210 knots, but don't try to maneuver. That's straight line only. Maneuvering speed is about, I'd say, between 150 and 180 knots. Of course we do, but the powers that be are a little bit paranoid. Let's get that wind counteracted there. That P-47 does look good out there. The poor Hampton doesn't have much defense. A pair of Lewis guns up top and a pair of Lewis guns on the bottom, and a fixed Lewis gun in the front. Yeah, when we get to lid, you can see how if you stick with us that long, you can see how she handles on the ground. It's got a really nice landing rate. She'll land at about 60, 65 knots and just kind of float in. We've got one more anti-radar spot to hit on our way home. And then we've got to cross the channel again. We're going to head for Lydd in southern England. Who knows? We may just alter the flight plan from Lid and make an audible call and go on down to Goodwood. I do like Goodwood as an airfield. It's a beautiful racetrack. It's even better as an airport. Okay, we've got 14 miles to go to this next little airport on the coast of France. This would be, they call this one Le Portel Airport, LF22. And then we faced our one, well, it's not quite as long as the first time we crossed the channel, but it's only 29 nautical miles. We are close to Calais, because it's 26 nautical miles from Calais to Dover. The French countryside is so pretty. As far as European countries go, I think Holland's got her beat, though. Just for sheer prettiness to look at. Am I thinking, let's see. Just about ready? Ready for the windows? Let's see. Okay, bay doors open. We're ready to throw out our windows. And what's nice with the Coastal Command variants of this aircraft, with Cracker Jack, you get torpedo. Sleepy little town. Hey, Viper Strike, how you doing? Hope you had a good flight today. Because while you were doing yours, we were shuttling paratroopers over to Holland. I flew an airplane that did not go on the actual market garden because technically they were all in India. They were flying the hump to China. The Curtiss C-46 was not a European theater aircraft, except unless you were a 3-star general or above. That's a nice good-sized fishing port. Oh, Viper, you still had a couple of months. You could have carried on with your all countries tour for at least a couple more months. Looking forward to the new product is one thing, but cutting yourself off from the source? I don't know about you, but I'm kind of addicted to this thing after 4 years. And it lets me do things that I can't do any otherwise. Okay, turn coming up. Set a course for lid. And now it's back across the channel. 29 miles across the English Channel. And we're flying a heading of 300. And the wind's pushing us onto 303, which is coincidentally the same caliber as our Lewis guns. We'll make that 298 degrees instead of 300. Wind's pretty steady. Pushing buttons distracts me pretty good. Make that 2.9 or 7. That wind's pushing pretty good. We got jets over Dover. Plenty of traffic up over Heathrow. And if they're not going to Heathrow, they're going to Gatwick. I do like sim effects. Good contrails. How do we go so long without these? Somebody let their Cap 10 get away from them. And now we leave beautiful France behind and head for the shores of merry old England. Try and get our course is adjusted for the wind. Don't mind a little push from the wind, but when it gets carried away, it gets ridiculous. The poor Hamptons couldn't fly much above 13,000 feet anyway because they didn't have a pressurized oxygen system aboard. So they were pretty much regulated to the down low areas anyway. Now we'll take a quick look at our fuel situation here. How are we doing fuel-wise? Okay, we've got 65 gallons in our mains and 70 gallons in our auxiliaries. But Lid's only 12 nautical miles ahead. Well, we're not going to run out of gas yet. We may just have to cancel our little trip to Goodwood. How far is Goodwood from here? Oh, Goodwood is a long way away. Goodwood is darn near to Southampton. Yeah, we'd have to go past Shoreham and Brighton Beach. We don't have the fuel for that trip. We had our fuel for this mission, and that's about it. Now if I can get my crippled butt into the chair, right? And then get my feet up on the pedals so, so we can try to actually land this. Okay, landing information for Lid is today. If it was live, it would be IFR conditions only, broken at 600, but we've eliminated that. Winds 250 at 6 knots, so runway 21, which is a right-hand turn, cross, make a teardrop, and come in onto runway 21. Now let's start trying to descend here. Pulling our power back a little bit. Okay, 2,500 feet. I can see the facilities for the airport, but from this direction I can't see the runway yet. Yes, we're approximately 90 degrees to the runway. Still descending here. 2200. Ah, now we can see the runway. We'll start our turn to starboard in just a minute. Now we start our turn to starboard. Keep pulling our power back. When we get to about 140, we'll kick in our gear. Okay, gear coming down. And there it is. Keep our turn to starboard going. We've descended to about 1,000 feet. Hold that if we can. 110 knots. Bring some power back in. Bring some rudder in. Keep that turn going to starboard. Okay, flaps. Yes, please. First notch of flaps. Power back in. Keep the turn coming. Lots of townhouses right up to the beach. Well, I guess it beats the vacation homes we build. Because I know that I used to enjoy going to the beach for vacation. There's the airport. Almost out on the right track here. 500 feet per minute. 800 feet above ground level. Straighten her up. Another notch flaps, please. And Colonel Fork's got a good separation with us. Okay, 500 above the ground. 100 knots. Happy pappies. Right there. Red over white, you're all right. Pick out our touchdown zone. And 100 feet. Throttle back. Throttles to 0. Idle the engines. Just let her coast in. and a bump, then a bump. Come on, stay out of the trees. You're not a kite. Yay, tail draggers. Well, there's something on the list for 2024. Fix those tail dragger physics. Because no matter how you kick the rudder, your rudder pedals, it doesn't seem the response is fast enough. Stay out of the water. Stay out of the water. Well, you got to give it this. The jug does look pretty in English colors. I want to get a couple of screenshots of that. That's absolutely gorgeous. Well, I'm sorry it was a short flight tonight, but brakes set. Now you can kick your feet off. We were just a little decoy mission. It wasn't a long one. And we still almost ran out of fuel anyway. Long legs this bird does not have. So let's see if there's anybody on tonight. First things first. Oh, hey, I remembered which mouse is which. We're doing good. Well, there's somebody else doing a Raleigh Mall is doing a vintage flight tonight. He's doing a 1934 flight of Ray Pereira in the Fiery Fox. We'll raid that. We'll raid Raleigh. Well, for me, that's a good night, and I appreciate you spending some time on Sunday night with us. We hope we've kept you mildly entertained as we crossed to France, dropped our windows chaff, and came home again. There's lots of guys that couldn't. Those are the guys we'd like to honor. And we're never going to forget what they've done for us. All right. So we'll wish that good night and wish y'all good night. Let's see. Nope, that one first.